Office of the Medical Examiner, Beatsville. Dr. Jack Handman is speaking. How can I help you?
Good evening, this is Kate Brooks. I'm not sure if you remember me. A few weeks ago, we talked about an article I'm working on. It's about your wife. I dropped by last Friday to speak to you, but you weren't working at the time. I asked the security guard to pass on a note for me. I would like us to discuss the topic of...
I thought I had made it painfully obvious. For the last time. No! Please don't call me again and stop inquiring about my wife. Damn journalists. They don't let me work. God damn it. I'm not in the best frame of mind to record a lecture for my students now. I'm feeling completely broken. Where did I leave my meds this time? They definitely pay me too little for this.
Felt that.
Stephen didn't clean up after himself. Again. Awful. It would be good to finally repair the coffee machine. Wednesday. It's not my favorite day, although it's certainly better than Monday. It won't be needed for the next few months. But the word is, the lab will be open tomorrow. Okay, time to pull myself together. And get back to work. I need to set up the camera first. I don't see any need to mess with the electrics. They are flaky enough as it is.
So, okay.
Now remember, Jack, don't forget to hit the record button this time. Hopefully the new tripod is going to hold up. Now, I just have to get everything in frame. This should be fine. November 20th, 1991. Time, 8:43 p.m. Recording for medical students from the University of Missouri. This autopsy is conducted by Jack Handman. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the autopsy room. Today, you will have the dubious pleasure of following a full autopsy. Let's start. Always wear an apron, mask, and gloves. Goggles are a must when the job is splashy. And in case of sharp accidents, it's worth having disinfectants at hand. It's true that you won't get ptomaine poisoning straight away, but if your liver or kidney aren't doing well, you may end up with diarrhea. The cadaver is placed on its back on the autopsy table. The pathologist stands on the right of the deceased. Make sure that all the necessary tools are always at hand so that you don't have to run around looking for something, like I do all the time. In the process of revealing and securing forensic evidence, it is difficult not to interfere with the original condition of the deceased. Written and photographic documentation plays a vital role throughout the entire examination process. During your research, be patient, inquisitive, but above all, attentive to detail. Many entries are visible at first glance, but sometimes they can be cover for more interesting stories. And lastly, remember that nothing teaches you self-narration like working with the dead. So get used to that fact soon. Everyone will think you're talking to yourself. Now, onto the police folder. That will contain all sorts of pertinent information as to who the deceased might be and what potentially happened to them. So, let's take a closer look. The deceased's name is Tobias Chambers, locally known as Old Toby. Homeless and unemployed for at least a couple of years, the deceased was found on the outskirts of a parking lot at a gas station, where he often begged and persistently offered drivers to wash their car windows. The body was noticed by a station employee during the morning shift. Initially, he thought that someone had thrown some boots and a coat in a nearby ditch. It took him a moment to recognize the pile of clothes as the body of a man. He worked most of his life at the local port dealing with unloaded cargo. He was fired for being drunk and starting fights. His son runs a hardware. Signs of libation were found around the body. Empty bottles, traces of an inept attempt to start a fire, and a scattered. That's it. It's worth remembering the context around the scene of a death. This allows you to better interpret any traces found on the body. I shouldn't start the procedure without gloves. Now it's our turn to take some pictures for our files. If I can just remember where I left the camera. It's in here somewhere. Aha! There you are. I knew it was here somewhere. As I mentioned at the beginning, before we begin the internal examination, we need to document the cadaver and the condition it arrived in. We begin with a full body photo. Try and stick to the top-down rule, but this is not always possible. Let's keep in mind it's all about the legibility. Voila! Now we move on to the next step, looking for traces. Take your time. Look at the corpse from different sides, from different angles, up close, and from a distance. You're looking for anything out of the ordinary. Boiler-healed wound. Looks old. I'll take a closer look later. Some wounds in the feet and signs of frostbite, probably because the subject's shoes were too small. Hardened hands, worn out by physical work, and frostbite? That's something interesting. It will be necessary to check whether this injury was severe enough to cause damage to the brain. In a moment, we will check which of our initial observations will be worthy of further consideration. But before we get to that, I need to write down some basic data.
Well,
Scalpel, scissors, syringe, magnifying glass, knife. I guess I forgot to clean the knife. Scalpel, scissors, syringe. I guess I forgot to clean the knife. Personal information. The deceased was unclothed. Date. Okay. As you can see, I note everything down on previously prepared forms. Every pathologist must keep a detailed record of every step of the autopsy. This not only allows you to track the procedure, but also collates the results together, upon which you may back up your conclusions. So, enough of the boring prep. Let's begin by taking a closer look at the spots I photographed earlier. For this, you're going to need a magnifying glass. Scalpel, scissors, syringe, magnifying glass, knife. I guess I forgot to clean the knife. Which spot first? It looks like a burn mark. No doubt painful, but it's not pertinent for this case. I can confirm the presence of ecchymosis on the deceased man's head. The appearance indicates the intravital nature of the wound. Add alcohol, which I can clearly smell, and this was an accident just waiting to happen. Here we can see frostbite on the fingertips. We can tell by the characteristic skin color. Definitely a painful mix of frostbite, abrasions, and blisters. Old Toby had been wearing shoes too small for him. So far, there are a lot of superficial wounds, but only one serious injury to the head. Let's go back to our notes. First, I mark the location of the injuries and make notes for each one. So, the head wound. Definitely, even though this type of wound didn't contribute if Toby's body was... We're not in frost season yet, but high humidity, wind, and the inability to warm up can also be causes of frostbite. As you can see, we don't have much to go on. Let's write down what preliminary causes of death we can think of. This is of no interest to us. Various types of accidents are a common cause of death among the homeless and the elderly. Perhaps old Toby slipped and accidentally, considering the conditions in which he slept. The nights have been particularly nasty lately. We will check if there are any signs of freezing internally. Since the deceased clearly smelled of alcohol, I'll add alcohol poisoning to our list. We still have one thing left from the basics. Rigor mortis. Well, we take our deceased by the hand, gradually re-raise it. Now let it go. As you can see, the hand falls loose. What's the conclusion? Death must have occurred more than 72 hours ago. The police information appears correct. Head trauma seems the most promising, so we'll start there. For this, I need an oscillating saw.
Well. There it is.
The cut is made from ear to ear. After which, we remove the skin and the top of the skull. After the basic examination, we can see that the brain's cerebral gyri in both hemispheres are symmetric. The brain looks good. Let's take a cross-section. Some pathologists prefer to examine organs without removing them. However, for me, it's much more convenient to examine them on a board, which we'll do now. Holding a long, narrow blade knife in the dominant hand, we slowly cut the cranial nerves on both sides, all the time pulling the brain towards us. So far, so good. The hematoma seems to have had no effect on the brain.
Just...
We can rule the fatal accident out as well. Brain is in good condition, so we have no choice but to proceed to the internal examination of the other organs. I grab a scalpel from my kit. The incision should be in the shape of a letter Y. We use a deep cut to reach all the way to the ribs and to penetrate the abdominal wall. Alright, now we peel back and separate the skin. Now, we need to remove the ribs. We'll need the loppers for this. Quite a satisfying crunch, for some anyway. After removing the cartilage tissue, we instantly notice two things. Firstly, there is no congestion of the internal organs. This means that although the deceased was hypothermic, you can see widespread black and tarry deposits caused by smoking cigarettes. Despite the tragic condition of the lungs, they are not the cause of death. Alice smoked too. It didn't kill her, but... what was I talking about? Lungs. Yes. Advanced inflammation. What now? The syringe. Now's a good time to collect some samples. Specifically 3. From the 5 milliliters from the left ventricle should do it. Now from the bladder, we draw about 10 milliliters of fluid. Vitreous humor analysis is very useful in indicating long-term alcohol abuse. Now we take our samples to the centrifuge, but before I do that, I need to find my notebook. My dyscalculia means that I always double-check the settings. Please excuse me while I run and fetch it. This whole thing is covered in stains. I should check this out under the microscope sometime. Let's get back to the examination. We put all of the samples into the rotor. Now, we set the appropriate time and speed.
70% for 15 minutes.
Okay, let's roll. Oh shit, the fuses again. Where were we? Oh yes, the blood alcohol concentration. Let's see what we've got
Better
here.
be the fucking fuses.
Everything's separated as it should. Our lab is closed until tomorrow after the last, incident. However, considering that Toby's favorite eau de parfum appears to be ethanol, I'm guessing the results won't surprise me at all. Let's go further. We will now focus on the cardiovascular system, specifically the heart. We remove the organ and examine it closely. We look for dark hypoxic areas, clots, or other elements that stand out as abnormal. At first glance, the heart looks fine. The pulmonary trunk and aorta seem to be in good condition. There are no pathological changes that would have contributed to Toby's death. Now let's take a closer look at the stomach. Size is normal, healthy, pink color, and as expected, the stomach has no major external damage. We must now cut it open and inspect inside. We will do it carefully so that its contents do not spill out. We open the stomach along the greater curvature, from the heart to the pyloric end. Oh, I already feel like there's something left inside. Okay, large amount of gas, small amounts of yellow, grayish food content, resembling some kind of meat. Either our deceased hadn't eaten in days, or the bulk of his stomach had already found a way out. Looks like I'll have to find the missing contents. There are two ways here. One is obvious, and the other is... It couldn't have been suffocation, could it? I'll add this to the list and move on to the deceased's neck. At first glance, the trachea looks normal. Same result as with the stomach. The external inspection doesn't tell us anything. This time we'll cut on a tray. While cutting such a small organ as the trachea, we must make a precise incision. To be able to cut with the very tip of the blade, we must hold the scalpel as we would a pen. And after careful examination and deduction, we've got it, a clogged trachea. It's time to summarize the whole thing. Based on the report and preliminary documentation, it's safe to assume that the deceased passed out after consumption of alcohol and then fell asleep on his back. Then, the gastric contents refluxed and flooded the airways, causing death. That's why we don't forget about the recovery position at dorm parties. And now it's all clear. The death, the mystery is solved. But for us, this is not the end. First,
That's a
the
shitty
dead body
signature.
needs to be cleaned up. For this, we will need to close the body and grab the needle. First, we unroll the skin flaps. And then, we sew the deceased back up. I'm using the baseball stitch technique. This stitching method is very strong and quick to do.
Wahaha.
Beautiful. Now we say goodbye to the deceased and put them safely in the fridge, ready for the next stage of their journey. God, I'm tired. I'll drop these samples off at the lab on the way to the bar. I'll call Steven. I don't feel like drinking alone today.
Okay. Well, that was only the beginning.
Forgive me. What? Fuck. I should take my pills. So much light everywhere.
Oh, that's not the bathroom. Did I miss? Oh.
It's a shame this won't help with my hangover. The fucking phone. Okay. I know I'm late. I'll be there soon. It's not like the dead are impatient.
Jack, no.
Alice? What? No, I didn't recognize you. I thought it was work calling.
It's okay. I hate it when work calls me at home, too. How is everything? You know.
Well, what can I say? At
I
least...
don't want to listen to all this
Okay.
bullshit.
Got it. You too. Well, that was a bit unexpected. I should probably find something to send. I'm not in the mood for music lately. They certainly have more will to live. The remnants of last night's binge with Steven. I'm not sure if it's still edible. An indispensable element of every office. I should really try and read a few of these. Some days, I just feel like setting fire to all this paperwork. I'm fed up with it.
There's an envelope. Where's the fucking picture?
I really need to get this laundry done. Alice and Charlotte in Amsterdam. It would be better if Charlotte had this. It deserves to be on display and not hidden in a drawer. It's been almost a year. Time flies, and probably doesn't have to get up to work. Alice didn't like this portrait. Alice didn't like this portrait. It hurts too much to look at these, but I can't throw them away.
So... what picture am I supposed to send?
Okay, time to go to work. I'm seriously late. Oh shit. I should grab some coffee and aspirin on the way.
Where's the fucking mailbox?
Standard correspondence consisting of bills, advertising leaflets, and pious reminders about the upcoming end of the world. Standard correspondence consisting of bills, advertising leaflets, and pious reminders about the upcoming end of the world. Oh, for fuck's sake. Maybe they'll finally fix that door.
Post a letter in the mailbox, well... fucking mailbox. weird. Times it.
Menu for today: dinner in town and takeaway coffee. Standard correspondence consisting of bills, advertising leaflets, and pious reminders about the upcoming end of the world. I hope this helps, Charlotte. Okay, all done here. Time to go. Damn, I forgot my jacket. Well, I'll brave it for tonight. Too bad. Nice and fresh. At least it's peaceful here.
New Orleans.
Good evening, Mr. Ridley.
No, I didn't close that door.
Has Steven delivered the body?
Mm-hmm.
Did he leave it where he usually does?
Uh-huh.
As always, it's a real pleasure talking to you.
If you say so.
Some corpses have more personality than this guy. Christ. Who leaves the window open in the middle of November? So I'd better check the answering machine.
Hi, Jack. I dropped by a little early today. I left the body with Ridley in the corridor. He wasn't sitting in the locker then, so maybe he'll even throw him into the room. Well, how are you doing? This, I still have a hang. You know, today I slipped on his shit again. That fucking furball. He always has to shit. Anyway, I can't come over in the evening, but we'll catch up on the weekend, okay? Bye. I almost forgot. Charlotte called me this morning. She asked about you, so answer your calls, Jack. This time it's not a reprimand for being late.
That's par for the course. I wonder when this club birthday. I actually forgot it was today. Alice baked me a muffin, maybe later. Okay, joke's over. Apron, gloves, and get to work. I need to order another batch of these. I've got to remember to do that later. Ah, man. I you. You were on that talent show. What was your name again? Steven laughs at me for recording everything. He says I have a bigger collection of stuff like this than most of the creeps he's caught. November 21st, 1991. The autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman. Lecture for the Medical University of Missouri. After yesterday's lecture, you should already know the ins and outs, so today we'll be consolidating our knowledge. So, where do I start? Ah, yes, Samantha Barker. Now I remember. There's probably gonna be a lot of chat. Found in her own apartment by police patrol. Officers were called by concern during the interrogation. A friend of the deceased admitted that Samantha never got to... The deceased was found in her own apartment, in a semi-recumbent position after her first album became a commercial success. When questioned, friends admitted that Samantha's last days were... As you can see, the body is fully clothed. Therefore, before we move on to photographic documentation, we must remove the clothes. This time, we don't have to focus on the clothes too much. However, there are cases where clothing... Okay, now we can continue with the examination. Again, begin by taking photographs of the cadaver. I guarantee that over time, it will cease being embarrassing for you. First, we photograph the whole body. And now, any suspicious-looking marks or wounds. Interesting. Very uneven. We need to investigate this. Yes, I've seen this many times. You don't get such bruises from a normal contusion. Well, there's even more here. A few we will need to look into here. Notes prepared. Time to take a closer look. Some furrows have imprinted more strongly, others less, as if someone was... undecided? The number of bruises suggests that there may have been some kind of tussle. Such bruises are caused by either a very heavy blow or by some internal issues. And here's something interesting. The skin of the deceased is covered with numerous blisters. Some of them are ruptured. Others still contain fluid residue. More numerous blisters. We have some leads to investigate here. Let's write this down. On the neck of the deceased, given the condition, currently it's difficult to say, although it's easier to have abrasions on your... In general, such blisters usually appear in the case of mechanical abrasions, but due to the place of occurrence, this should be excluded. A severed spinal cord, trauma to the larynx, or trachea will... Examination with a UV lamp will dispel some doubts. After examining the organs, we can I'll add barbiturates to the list of nests to be checked in the lab later. Given the testimony of the victim's friend, I add alcohol poisoning to the list of potential causes of Miss Barker's death. A blood test will no doubt quickly verify that hypothesis. But first I'll check for external traces. For this we use the good old UV lamp.
Oh.
I look carefully at the whole body. The area around the head is empty. Torso, empty without marks. Right hand clean. The left hand seems to be fine. No marks. Legs? There's nothing here. Ah, well, nothing to surprise us here. Now gently, we take the deceased by the hand. And we check for rigor mortis. Again, the hand falls freely. Since we don't have a definitive lead, we will examine all the key organs one by one. So, I'm starting the internal inspection. I dissect the skin of the deceased. And I proceed to deflect the skin flaps. Compared with yesterday's body, the deceased has only trace amounts of adipose tissue. Now for the ribs. What do we have here? Or rather, what don't we have? There is certainly no sign of internal bleeding. Before I disembowel the deceased, I will take samples for toxicological tests to determine the alcohol content in the body. I just need my syringe. Just to be sure, I'm taking samples from 3 organs: the eyeball, the heart, and the bladder. Analysis will rule out, or confirm, alcohol poisoning as the cause of death. I'll transfer these to the centrifuge. My old but trusted centrifuge. Ideal for all the fluid tests I need to perform during an autopsy. What was it? 15, 70, 10, 75? Numbers have never been my strong point. It's probably why I regularly forgot birthdays and anniversaries. I'm lucky Alice always forgave me. Gently does it with this old thing. Handle with kid gloves.
15 at 70.
I'm starting the centrifuge. Let's see what results come out. The laboratory is already open, so... Fucking hell! Ridley! Mr. Ridley! The fuses need resetting. Where is he? Fuck it. I'll do it myself.
The fuck?
First the right, and then the left. And voila. Oh, for fuck's sake. Can't I? Jack Hanman speaking.
Easy, why so rude?
Steve? Sorry, man. This place is falling apart, and Ridley won't even lift a finger to help. You just can't work here.
Did the centrifuge trip the fuses again?
Yeah, eventually everything's gonna go up in smoke.
Look on the bright side. It's a free cremation with your autopsy.
Jesus, stop it. That shit pisses me off.
Okay, sorry, Jack. Anyway, I'm calling to ask how the autopsy's going. Soon there'll be journalists sniffing around for info.
I'll whiz through this in a cup. It doesn't look like a complicated. More of a.
Sounds great. Phew.
Well,
Hold.
what?
Aiden, while transporting prisoners to or at the moment, we do not know the or whether any how possible and we the appointment we so
What?
It won't be on Sunday.
What? Fuck. Calm down, Jack. Pills. I need my pills. You heard him, Jack. Yes. Nothing's going to happen.
Well, that's unsanitary.
Christ. I've got to get back to work. Technical break. At least I know I can pursue a career as a janitor if I need my own but trusted centrifuge. Ideal for all the fluid tests I need to perform during an autopsy. Alright, let's see if we were able to get anything out of this piece of crap. And miraculously, yes, the samples did spin. I'll transfer them to the chromograph in the lab.
Into what rack?
My own but trusted centrifuge. Ideal for all the fluid tests I need to perform during an autopsy. Seems to be set up and ready to go. I wasn't sure it would amount to anything, but the World Wide Web has been a blessing for speeding up my work. Scalpel, scissors, syringe, magnifying glass, knife. I guess I forgot to clean the knife. Alright, let's load this up. I placed the test tubes in the rack. Now, just take 5 milliliters from each. Precisely. And the next. Five more. We put the prepared sample into the machine. Let's see what we have here. The results indicate that the deceased did consume alcohol shortly before her death. However, this is not an amount that could cause poisoning leading to death. Just slight inebriation. I can return to the body and continue the rest of the examination. The chromatograph results show that we can eliminate alcohol poisoning from our list of potential causes of death. However, remember that alcohol can affect the functioning of the entire body. It disturbs the heart rhythm, accelerating its rate, and dilutes the blood, which may result in more severe bleeding in the event of an accident. Also remember that alcohol affects the metabolism of drugs in the liver, which I'll now look at in more detail. First, I'll pick up the syringe again. I'll take samples from the liver and the heart to test the concentration of barbiturates in the body. That's enough. I'll do the test later. I'd best not try my luck with the centrifuge right now. Now I removed the liver. No lesions. However, it is slightly enlarged. Perhaps it may also be the result of the deposition of substances from drugs. Let's check the weight of the organ. The weight is 1,300 grams. The liver is enlarged. I'll move on to a cross-sectional study. Perhaps the enlargement is the result of early cancerous changes. The blade glides through smoothly. I don't feel like I'm encountering any changes with an unusual structure. No steatosis or cirrhosis. The liver is actually quite clean inside. The liver is basically healthy. We already know that the deceased didn't abuse alcohol. The question is, what about drugs or other substances? I move on to the heart. Oh. At a glance, we can see signs of a heart attack. The deceased is definitely too young to have a heart attack due to natural causes. The liver is enlarged, not from alcohol poisoning, and the heart looks like it has collapsed. So, I guess we need to go to the centrifuge and check for these barbiturates. I wonder how she was able to get hold of these drugs. The last time I saw this kind of poisoning was a few years ago. He was a middle-aged guy. He took his medication and forgot about it, so he took another pill. He forgot again and took another one, and another one, until he took the last one. That's why it's better to have amnesic drugs in boxes labeled with the days of the week. This sort of thing rarely happens anymore. Doctors tend to prescribe benzodiazepines. They are safer, but still shouldn't be combined with alcohol.
10 minutes at 75.
We close the centrifuge and pray that it doesn't trip anything again. It looks like our luck is in. We can take the samples to the lab now. Okay, 2 samples this time. 6 milliliters each. Well, let's see how much of it we find. Nothing surprising. Significant amounts of phenobarbital metabolites of hepatic origin. Looks like I'll have to check the contents of the deceased's stomach. The tests showed that the collected blood contained enough barbiturates to cause cardiopulmonary collapse. The question now is whether it was an accident or a deliberate act. I'm proceeding to examine the stomach. Before extraction, I ligate the entire organ to prevent its contents from spilling out. Okay, I'm now cutting out the organ, which will move to the board for dissection. Normally, the stomach and intestines are full of surprises. This time, we see remnants of undigested food and a dense mass of pills. You don't take this many drugs by accident. Length and width normal. No obvious pathological changes. Undigested drugs found in the stomach of the deceased. The direct cause of death was probably an overdose. I'll check the rest. Lungs are normal. No, the deceased's trachea is normal. Complete patency. No food or fluid. The deceased's intestine is normal. No clear pathological changes. Abdominal cavity checked off. We can check the brain. I make a cut to open the lid of the victim's skull and remove the brain. Brain is normal. No obvious lesions. Alright. I need to dissect it on a board. Using a knife, I carefully cut through the brain tissue. As expected, the deceased's brain is in excellent condition. No discoloration or changes due to hypoxia. There is still the matter of the marks on the neck. They look superficial, but who knows? Maybe the spinal cord has been severed. I need goggles and a saber saw. I think Alice... saw. I need saw. Oh. I know. I probably left it in the basement after its last cleaning. Mr. Ridley, I need a key to the basement.
It's in the social room.
Why is the key lying at the... never mind.
Hey, Hammond. Did you hear about the... Maybe you'll get a chance to relive your glory days in
Let's hope they won't. If only he could put that much enthusiasm into his work. I get the feeling that searching through this rubbish is more pathogenic than working with Please, may this be the last trip.
gonna have to go outside.
Fuck. Why did the prison convoy have to get into an accident? Jack, take a deep breath. Deep, pleasantly cool breath. You're nearly finished with the autopsy. Then you can go home and rest. I'll take a seat. I'll check. Fuck! It's jammed! Doesn't anyone do maintenance around here? Damn hatch. Damn red Pete. Never again. If only. Forgot this thing was standing here. It would be easier if I put things away properly. Damn student lectures and their fucking props. Sorry for the short interruption. I hope you all took the opportunity to grab some coffee. And now that I have everything I need, I'll move on to revealing the spinal cord. Is removed. Calm down, Jack. Take it easy. If I don't take my pills, then I won't finish this work. My head. If I don't take my pills, I can't do it without the pill. My head. Oh, I can't think straight. Pills. Where are my pills? I can see that the spinal cord was not severed. This shows that apart from the marks around the neck, hanging didn't negatively affect the condition of the deceased. Ladies and gentlemen, almost over. Now, to sum up and tidy away the body. The direct cause of Samantha Barker's death was a heart attack resulting from an overdose of barbiturates. Traces found on the body suggest that the overdose was a deliberate act, following a failed attempt to hang herself. The autopsy found no evidence or genetic materials indicating that death could have been the result of an attack. Third-party involvement must be excluded. Autograph, and we can start sewing. In the 1950s and 1960s, the use of barbiturates for suicide was actually quite common. I think it was most talked about after the death of Marilyn Monroe. At home, it was a help and comfort. On death row, a farewell to the convicts. Well, That's the way it goes. It isn't the drug, but the dose that makes the poison. Well, we're done for today. Thank you for your attention. Tiring day. I can feel those hunger pains coming on. I guess I'll have to pick something up along the way. A nightcap will do me good. Good night, Mr. Ridley. The police will pick up the body and accompanying documentation in the morning.
Sure.
I guess there are actually two things in this world you can be certain of. Death and Ridley's reluctant attitude. Alright, maybe three things. My whiskey on the rocks when I get home. So cold. I guess I should have brought my jacket to work. This block can be quite intimidating when it's so quiet. What? What? What the fuck? But I locked it. I'm sure of it.
Bum, bum, bum.
Who the fuck did this? I don't have anything valuable. Oh, God. Oh, money. They must have stolen the money. Great. That's all I need. Fuck! Christ. Why did the neighbors not report anything? I'm calling Steven.
I don't want to hear all this.
That's
What have you...
No, anyway. I should...
Listen,
No, later. If it...
You will take...
Thanks, sorry. I guess... Wait. Maybe I could barricade the door with this. I should pack this thing away. I have no interest in Dion. I'm glad this didn't break. To be honest, there you go. Now I'm sure Alice's family should really have some of these. What a mess. Now if only I could blame this on the burglars. That's enough. I need to quickly change and finish getting ready. I'm gonna be late for work again. Got my keys, got my files, check. Oh yeah, I should take my pills. I feel like it takes me forever to finish these things. Time to go. Remember to close the door properly, Jack. I'll ask the neighbors tomorrow if they saw anything suspicious. Oh shit. Almost left the door open. I wonder if Ridley fixed the coffee machine. Maybe a bit optimistic. I'd better grab a cup. I'm exhausted. I wonder who Stephen brought in today. Good morning, Mr. Ridley. Oh, he's not here yet? No, I'll do without him. Almost there. Now for the tough part. The body needs to be moved. Where Where's Ridley when you need him? Alright. I just need some gloves and my apron. Then I can get to work. I'm going to need my tape recorder for this. Autopsy dated November 22nd, 1991. 7:32 p.m. Led by Dr. Jack Hanman. I begin by verifying the identity of... It's most likely Harper Lloyd. It is also known that the deceased was diagnosed with affective bipolar disorder. Harper, the last person who had contact with the deceased, was her partner. Police records also show that Mrs. Lloyd... Firefighters found the body after the Chelsea family began complaining that the most important task in forensic identification of a drowned person is to distinguish whether the death occurred before or after entering... Okay, that could have been worse. I carefully removed the victim's clothes so as not... The deceased was... One shoe was missing. I'm going to need the camera to document all possible suspicious marks. Definitely the first thing that stands out is the very advanced post-mortem gigantism. The skin of the deceased appears very delicate, smooth, and relaxed from being in the water for a long time. The whole body is extremely pale. There are bruises and hemorrhages on the neck. These usually occur due to increased inhalation when fighting to breathe underwater. Post-mortem markings are seen on the underside of the body, that is, on the back, thighs, and calves of the deceased. It's likely that the deceased was lying on her back when she was fished out. The so-called washerwoman's skin on the feet. The deceased had indeed been in the water for a long time. There are some obvious scratches on the skin. The skin on the hands can be easily separated from the body. The separation takes the form of a glove. So, after the preliminary exam, it's time to take a closer look at this. Today's date, the deceased was clothed. Rigor mortis does not need to be checked. Based on the state of decay, you can be sure it has subsided. Where to start? We see thick, white foam in the mouth of the deceased, resulting from pulmonary edema. Foam is a characteristic in deaths due to drowning. There are obvious scratches on the skin, especially on the back and hands. These could be defensive wounds, evidence of some sort of altercation prior to death. The spots have a purplish blue-red hue, which is a typical sign. Yep, pretty typical. Liver mortis are formed as a result of putrefaction. No obvious signs of struggle. The skin on the hands would have easily peeled away from the flesh. Some of the fingers have already lost their... Due to the fact that the deceased was wearing shoes, her feet are in better condition. Nevertheless, Okay, that's probably enough to indicate it. I'd better note that down in the records. Marks found. Those abrasions appear. There doesn't... Diffuse spots are caused by blood rotting in the... Considering the deceased... Hands heavily wrinkled from submersion in water. Typical washerwoman's skin. In this case, the question is, maybe it's just their distribution suggests liver mortis of a different cut, a simple trip. Fortunately, the skin on the hands didn't. Before I begin the dissection, I'll make sure the suggested identity is correct. The suitcase with the fingerprint equipment should be around here somewhere. Here it is. The fingerprint sheet should always be checked. Slipping fingers, too much or too little ink, or inaccurate hand position with decomposing bodies, the tissue of the pads of the fingers tends. If the body of the deceased is well preserved, fingerprinting is similar to that of a living person. I'm going to conduct a dactyloscopic examination. If in fact the deceased is in the police database, I will find her. Glycerin is injected successively between the nail and the skin of each finger. The substance then enters the fingertip, removing shrinkage and wrinkles. Now I take a brush. Only when the skin is taut and elastic can you use ink. I think it's enough. I'm getting fingerprint samples. In the case of drowning victims, you have to be extremely careful. The skin may fall off the hand like a glove when you take the print. I'll use the fax machine to add the print into the system.
Now where the fuck's the fax machine? Where's the window open? Must be in the autopsy room. Yeah, it is.
Green button, and... Once the data uploads, I'll run the prints against the police database on the computer. Great. The data is there. Click Upload. Now, go through the database and find a matching print. Expect possible hours of fun. One more. Okay. Let's check for matches. This is not our Jane Doe. I wish there was an easier way to do this. One more. Analyze button. we have a result? Everyone has a story to tell, even if it's just a police record. So, as predicted, the deceased turned out to be Harper Lloyd. That went smoothly. I'll print this out and attach it to the medical records. Great. Now I can go back to my inspection. I'm adding the name of the deceased. I'll start the internal examination by taking fluid from the victim's brain. A needle inserted through the nose will do the trick. If the victim was alive when she fell into the well, she must have swallowed water fighting for her life, and then diatoms, characteristics of pooled water like a well, got into the body. In the meantime, I'll check the sample under the microscope. I'm sure that these algae traces will be found in the samples taken from the well where police found the body. Now I need to adjust the knobs properly, and place the diatom in the center of the slide. Diatoms are single-celled microscopic algae. It's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid. And perfect. The aperture still needs adjustment. The image is too dark. Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. Nah, too much light. I won't be able to see the Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. Nah, oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. I won't even notice an army of diatoms from this distance. Great. This way I'll see if I'm dealing with a large concentration of these. It's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid, but rather a bad focus. Nah. Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. And perfect. It's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid, but rather a bad focus. And perfect. As expected, we find the aforementioned algae in the solution. Their upper part, epitheca, which overlaps the lower, hypotheca, is clearly visible. The presence of diatoms in the brain samples taken indicate that the deceased was certainly alive when she fell into the water and was possibly conscious. Since there were diatoms in the brain, it means that many more of them must have entered the body. Studies of the rest of the organs will most likely confirm this hypothesis. I can finally get to the practical part. I must be extra careful because the skin of the deceased is very stretched. I wouldn't want an explosion here. You can immediately see a very large swelling of the organs. In addition, all internal organs are very congested. I proceed to remove the rib cage. It's easy to see that the ribs have been imprinted in the lungs. So, I'm going to start by drawing blood from the lungs for testing for diatoms. If diatoms were only present in the lungs, this would mean that the victim was placed in the well after death, and the perpetrator wanted to get rid of the corpse in this way. Now, I remove the lungs and proceed to their examination. Taking the lungs in my hand, I feel that the tissues have lost their elasticity, which is the result of water emphysema. In addition, there is significant swelling of the organs, and as a result, We have a nice imprint of the ribs. The emphysema itself. Corpses found in water are worth examining with a tomograph. However, I can't count on such luxuries, so I must reach for a more archaic technology. A bucket and water. Ooh. I hope no one dipped a mop in it. It's best to go to the lab for this. Historically, the lung float test is used to detect infanticide. The water should be at room temperature. That's enough. To test for this, I have to place the lungs in a container of water. This checks if there is air in them. And speaking of lung... Oh, Jesus. Of course, such a study isn't without flaws. Air may have entered a newborn's airways during resuscitation attempts. Gases released during decomp. In this case, however, it's about something else. Namely, the amount of fluid in the lungs. To test for this, I have to place the lungs in a container of water and wait to see if they fall or if they will float on the surface. Just as I assumed, the lungs collapsed easily. Fluid could have entered the lungs during panic attempts to catch breath underwater, but it could also be the result of bacterial infections or cancer, so further investigation is needed. I move on to dissecting the lungs of the deceased. You can hear the distinct, very unpleasant crackling of the tissues being cut through. The parenchyma is remarkably pale, although small hemorrhagic foci and petechia are... All right. Now, I will check the collected fluid under a microscope. If we find 20 diatoms on the slide, it can be considered drowning, and our result is not false positive due to possible contaminations. The aperture still needs adjustment. Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. I won't even notice an army of diatoms from this distance. Great. It's not a dirty lens, and perfect. As expected. In solution, the diatoms are clearly visible. There are smaller and larger clusters of them. There will definitely be more than 20 of them. I'll make a note of all this. So far, this case looks pretty standard. It's clear from the beginning that it's drowning. Well, the procedure requires me to check everything anyway. So, I move on to checking the other organs. Strongly developed putrefactic hemolysis, the organ can be seen at first glance. Apart from that, no signs of a heart attack or other heart disease. I move on to the next organ. This time, it's the liver. It's immediately apparent that the deceased didn't care for herself. The beginnings of cirrhosis are visible in... I transfer the organ to a board and proceed to dissect. The cross-section clearly shows dilated. I must admit that this is quite a feat, considering the rather young age of the deceased. Harper enjoyed drinking so much that she might not have lasted a few more years. I move on to the stomach. I take a sample of the fluid for testing. It looks very turbid. I'll see what happens after spinning, but that's in a moment. Now, I carefully ligate the organ, then cut it off. It's enlarged, probably full of putrid gases. I transfer it to the board and carefully open it, checking the contents. One thing you'd never get used to is how much this task smells. Okay, the stomach is full, so let's check the diatoms. Again, but in a centrifuge for a change. The problem with examining drowned people is being able to show whether the death was due to drowning or whether something else contributed to the death. Cramp, heart attack, drugs, homicide, or some accident. Such an analysis requires viewing from different angles and a careful interpretation of the collected data, including those from the field. That's why it's so important to collect as many samples as possible. Unfortunately. Okay, this is one last little sample. Now, set. Done. I'll run it directly into the chromatograph and run it against the data from the police. I'm certain the analysis will show similarities between the fluid and water in Chelsea's well. Let me think. 3 milliliters should be fine. Okay, now it's the chromatograph's turn. Yes. The water sample matches the one provided by the police. Well, the results are quite clear. I was hoping it would be a more interesting case. More atoms. Analysis indicates the same origin. Blah, blah, blah. There's little left to do. I'm going to check the airway patent. Interesting. Looks like there's something stuck in the trachea. I'm moving to the board for further inspection. I dissect the trachea and open the organ. Inside, I find a wedding ring. This is interesting. Let me look at it. Based on the size, I can say that it's a woman's wedding ring. Quite standard from the outside. There's an engraving inside. What the fuck? But this is my ring. Alice's ring. But how did it, but this should be at home. I have it. At home. It's, must have been nothing. Where are my meds? Jesus Christ! Hope these... I have to check the apartment. It can't be. Mr. Ridley. Mr. Okay. Jesus Christ! I have to check this out. This... Please be there. It can't be her wedding ring. It's not here. It's not. I need to go. This is sick. Fuck. Come on, Stephen. Pick up the fucking phone.
What's up, man?
They took the ring.
What? What ring? What are you talking about?
They took the wedding ring. Alice's wedding ring.
One sec. You mean burglary? You said nothing was missing.
Yes, I know that. I don't know. I was jittery. Maybe I didn't notice. I don't know, but that's not the worst of it.
Calm down, Jack. Breathe. What happened?
I found it in the trachea of the deceased I was working on. Do you understand? I pulled it out of a dead woman's trachea.
What?
I don't know what's going on. You think Red Pete wants revenge? He's playing with me. Huh? I knew it. I knew it from the beginning this was going to happen. I didn't make it up!
Jack, listen to me. Try to calm down. Don't leave the apartment. I'll be with you right away, okay? I'm on my way.
What sane person would do something like that? Fucking Ridley lets in whoever he likes as usual. What are you saying? Stephen? Don't leave me, man. Come on. Fuck. Oh, God, what now? Okay, I need a drink. Jesus. What's going on? Just one sip more. Yep. Jesus. Okay. Yep. Okay. These reports will... It's time to get... Fuck. Yes.
Hi. This.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh,
Ben, did you.
Something for you?
What photo with the photo I asked you for?
It hasn't come yet? Oh, sorry, but...
No, not yet. Maybe I'm too. Sorry for rushing. You have so much on your mind.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I have to go now.
Yeah.
Not... Damn. Did I mess up the address? How am I gonna get those pills? Maybe I should invite you to... I should take out the trash first. Ugh. Why is it so wet? Fucking hell! I shouldn't be this tired.
You disgust me.
I wonder if Alice's mother has a film of this photo somewhere. I actually hadn't thought about it before. I should call her. Ah, why do I like sleeping so much? Huh?
It's just me, Jack.
Good afternoon.
Isn't it a bit early?
I missed our Has Stephen brought the...
Yeah, the trolleys. Maybe wheeling it to the dissection room will be in.
I've missed out. I think I'll get straight to work on this one. Focusing on something will do me some good. Christ, this one's heavy. Hey, Mr. Ridley, I need help. I can't lift this bag myself.
Ridley!
Ugh, wasn't easy. But at least I can start. A new package must have arrived. I guess Dorothy ordered it. I think I'll skip recording a video for the students today. They don't need to see me and the body. Ugh. And they'll still have the accompanying photos anyway. November 27th, 1991. 5:14, James Evans Jr., also known as Evans, had previously been convicted of possession of stolen goods. The body was found naked and inadvertently in the deceased. Police photos show that the body was sounds disturbing. I wonder what condition the body is in then. I'll start by opening the bag. Oh, fuck. I didn't expect this level of mutilation. This is going to be a dirty job. I'll check through the bag the police left. Maybe there will be something worth noting about the victim's clothes. Leather belt, plain cotton t-shirt, classic jeans. The bloodstains don't appear to be related to any injuries on the body. The deceased, a lighter, engraved with the police insignia. It looks somehow... it's probably a coincidence. Traces of dirt mixed with blood and rubbed leaf litter. Evans must have been crawling. Or was interesting. Most of the blood is visible around the neckline. Something stuck here. It looks like some kind of ecdysis? Scale? This could point to an animal being responsible. Mainly traces of soil. It's a bit like the certainly not my style. Traces of... is this? Oh, you can push it? After all, what else could I expect? Weird. Someone obviously didn't want to put in the work. These clothes haven't been thoroughly searched. And here, another animal souvenir. The only thing I can tell from the clothes is that before his death, Evans had either put up quite a fight, or the attackers simply dragged him along the ground for a long distance. In turn, and this is certainly strange, the injuries themselves were inflicted only when he was naked. Okay, I'll take a look at the scales. They seem too different. Dorothy once brought an animal encyclopedia here. She performed an autopsy on an exotic animal smuggler. The guy suffered an accident while transporting illegal animals. Not only were the police needed on site, but it took nearly a day to round up his cargo. Dorothy had a hard time with that case. Did the impact kill him? Or did one of the animals he was transporting do him in? They even talked about it on the news. People were terrified that some reptile would just come out of their can and grab them. Okay, the book. Who is this? All right. Which page was it? Local wild. Not this area, but who knows? Nile crocodile. Formerly, what kind is this? Ah, saltwater. No, that's not it. Nah, this one here looks more like a handbag. Very similar, but the color is slightly different. Oh, that was quick. I wouldn't expect anything else. I don't know why I'm even bothering to compare it. It's immediately obvious that it's... No way. I would expect something local? I certainly don't remember hearing of an animal escaping from the zoo. So, either someone donned in crocodile products was around the deceased, or one of them attacked him. I'll examine the body and take photos. If an animal attacked him, there'll be traces. Ugh, Christ. Why am I so tired? Some coffee would be nice. What was I supposed to... Ah, the pictures. I'll have to show them to Dorothy. Too bad that we no longer keep our ranking. With something like that, I would come out on top. There's been a case like this for a long, long time. All right, I'll begin. The deceased's skin is smooth and taut. This suggests an advanced stage of decomposition of the corpse. Nasty. It's unlikely that a human would make such a wound. Such a wound could not have occurred during the victim's lifetime. There are also clear traces of the deceased ankles being bound in some way. Evans couldn't have tied himself up like that. It looks like some sort of attack or kidnapping. No head. That's not hard to miss. This wound appears to have been made by a sharp instrument. Interesting. This needs to be investigated further. Oh, and as expected, there's a bite. I need to gather my thoughts together. It seems that this case will... I wonder whether the decapitation took place before... I have some... The work of animals can be seen here. The question... This looks very promising. The bite is clearly visible, and it should be easy to compare it with the encyclopedia and identify the culprit. I just need to make it a little bigger. It'll be faster than physically measuring the bite. I hope I put it in right. I can never remember whether it was image up or image down. At university, I didn't have facilities like a fax machine. Ah, fantastic. Just some tracing paper, a pencil, and I can check these in the encyclopedia. Now, did I leave them in a drawer? Or maybe a box somewhere? Ugh. I don't remember if I left them out somewhere. Oh, looks like I can tidy up after myself. Sometimes. A very, nature-driven case so far. I'll have to consult the encyclopedia again. Good thing Dorothy left it here. Otherwise, I would have had to run back to my place to get some. I would be concerned if it was this crocodile that killed him. Oh, yes. This turtle turned out to be a killer. He ripped off the guy's wrist and tore him and a few other... The shape of the jaw appears correct, but not the teeth. That's not it. It makes sense. This would also explain the molt found in the clothes. It turns out that some of the wounds can be safely blamed on local alligators. However, we cannot blame them for the decapitation. It's not these animals we should be afraid of here. I should make some notes and start the autopsy. Ugh. And look for other traces. It doesn't look good. Evans. Several stab wounds of varying depth and circumference. It looks like the killer might have missed before they finally... Mississippi alligator. Looks like an uneven bite. It's worth that. Maybe there will be some... The result of an animal tearing at its body. Each genitals. There are even some teeth marks, but... well, it doesn't look like it. The bite is from a photo alone. I need to make a cast. The imprints are quite deep. From the looks of it, I'd say it. Evan's right side. Very strong binding. You can see... There's no end to playing zoologist today. I need a tool with dental impression cement. Can I find it here? No. It's probably lying somewhere around in the lab. I hope the cement hasn't expired. A month after the due date. That could be worse. Now I need to cover the bite area. Wait until it hardens. I think it's ready. The cast looks quite contaminated from the other wounds in that area. Well, let's hope the imprint turns out better. Scalpel, scissors, syringe, magnifying glass, knife. Brush, ink, and paper. Similar to taking fingerprints. Paint over the area. And put a piece of paper on it. That's very strange. I'll run it through the facts and check it on the computer. I really don't want to believe what I'm seeing. Loading. Ugh. What? Wow. This is, well, this is quite unexpected. Human teeth. Oh, fuck. I need to tell this to Stephen. Maybe not everything is cataloged correctly. Maybe not everything is cataloged correctly. Loading. It'll probably take a while. Maybe not everything is cataloged correctly. Maybe not everything is cataloged correctly. Loading. It'll probably take a while. Maybe not everything is cataloged correctly. Maybe not everything is cataloged correctly. Maybe not everything is cataloged correctly.
There it
Loading.
is.
It'll probably take a while. Finally. What? impression I have may match several people. Okay, this one is in prison, so he's out. Another in prison. Oh, here's someone with quite interesting tendencies. Oh, he's dead. It doesn't fit. This one doesn't either. I'm afraid this will remain a mystery. The killer's profile is getting more and more interesting. Oh, no. Everything is spinning. Pills. I have to take pills. I'm going back to the body. Ugh. I need to make a note before I start the dissection. They look quite... You can see that the tool used was sharp and smooth. Maybe this wound turned out to be more troublesome. Torn tissue, lacerations, bite wounds. Perfect breeding. The abdominal and alligators rarely kill humans. For obvious reason. I need to verify how deep these wounds go. If they puncture the organs. Time for internal analysis. Finally. First of all, I'll try to determine whether death occurred before the decapitation. With the scalpel, I'll open the deceased's chest. I cut deep, in a straight line, avoiding the navel. We see a lot of fat tissue under the skin. When I remove the ribs, I expect to see even more fat on the organs. Correct. High levels of internal fat. Organ size of the deceased smoked cigarettes. But more importantly, you can see... And this is the culprit. Well, it didn't look like such hemorrhage could have been caused by... Open pneumothorax should be added to this. The deceased could have experienced extreme hypoxia, and has... I wonder what the heart looks like. The organ is enlarged with very clear, light yellow trace, but similarly to the lungs, there is a trace of puncture with a sharp object. In pneumothorax, in the event of such a wound, this would mean, in turn, could put... Evans, however, is remarkably clean. Considering this turn of events, this all looks quite... The organ is fatty and enlarged. The beginnings of cirrhosis are obvious. Well, that's it. So, I proceed to... Like most other organs, it is fatty and clearly enlarged, not to mention swollen. Partially due to gases, but mainly due to the deceased's lifestyle. I take the organ to the cutting board. If the outside is intact, I'm going to check the contents. It sounds like there's an unusually large amount of undigested, and now rotten stomach contents inside. Blood. Evans had to swallow it due to his injuries, which means he was still alive when he was brutally wounded in the chest. the trachea left to be examined. Surprisingly, it's not damaged by the decapitation. I move on to cutting it open. Okay, I carefully cut, and... blood, just as I expected. Heaven... looks like I can wrap this up. Let me tie this together. After he was abducted, stripped, and tied up, he was dealt several penetrating blows to the chest, then his head was cut off. Evans was deprived of his genitals, and the body served as an easy meal for the animals. Even though there are a lot of injuries on the body that could cause death, it was the decapitation that ended Evans' life. The animal bites in the limbs occurred after death. Oh well. I need to stitch this poor guy back up. It's really bothering me. Something's not right here. Because even now, the organs are relatively clean. The skin around wounds also, it's like someone pumped it out. Oh, Christ. I don't know. I'll leave these questions for the police to solve. And now, I get to head home. It's a fucked up thing. I'll hold off taking long walks in the forest for the near future. I have a feeling that it won't end with just one body. Good night, Mr. Ridley. The body's ready to be picked up.
Sure. Good night.
I think it's the first time in a long time. Oh, come on. Fuck! When did I get a... Fuck. I'm going to Ridley's. Maybe he saw something. Ridley, do you know what happened to my car?
Oh, what happened to your car?
All the tires are fucking flat!
Well, it happens. Don't you have a spare?
Spare ones in the trunk. No one carries 4 fucking extra tires. In the trunk!
Jesus, Handman, calm down. I'll call you a taxi.
Calm down? Have you seen anyone around here? Someone strange?
Except you? No.
Haha. I don't find all these jokes.
What jokes? Handman, what's wrong with... It's just...
Such things. What's wrong with me? And now...
Just...
I just want to sleep.
Boom, boom.
It would be easier just to move in and live here. I doubt I'll get reimbursed for the cab. Huh? Damn. It's already late in the evening. Good evening. Any news for me? About my car? You know, the flat tires?
No.
No, what? Have you checked the cameras? Anything?
Handman, I cut my teeth working in prison.
What?
There were no strangers. Maybe you ran over.
What? All the...
Why, possibly. You can congratulate.
Christ.
You should try sleep. You've been kind of out of...
That's the first bit of sense.
Good. Along with your leg.
What?
You still pont... Best hurry. Don't...
Fuck me. I don't have the strength for this today. Have I taken my pills today? Did I take it? Or... one more won't hurt. I need to focus. Fuck. I don't have much time. Okay, okay. One by one, Jack. Take it easy. Oh, a burning issue indeed. Then I'll move on to the body. Ah, shit. The lecture. I almost forgot. I'm gonna need the camcorder. This is making me nervous. Oh well. This is not the best framing. Hello, everyone. It's the 20... something of November 1991. Jack Hammond is conducting... Yes, the bullet... So, the victim is from yesterday. The exact cause of the fire has not yet been determined. The body was not found until the next morning. The deceased was sitting in an armchair near the firefighters indicated that it was probably the large quantity of poppers found near the deceased and rapid spread of the fire. Well, that's our